From days of last week, from very charted regions of the internet, comes a podcast. The podcast, Those Were the Days. A mighty podcast, loved by good, feared by nobody. As Those Were the Days legend grew, peace settled across some of the internet. On Discord, a new channel was formed. Together with the good people of the internet, they shared their love of classic TV and where to watch, until more crap was on the internet. Those Were the Days was needed much more. This is the story of the super force of internet podcasters, especially nerdy and sent by themselves to give you Those Were the Days podcast.
Those Were the Days podcast.
Those Were the Days is filmed before a live internet audience.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Those Were the Days. This is a podcast where four people get together. We talk about our love for classic TV. And this month, we're talking about our love for Saturday morning cartoons. And we're having some fun with a bowl of cereal. I'm your host this week, Audie, and with me are my three other TV-loving friends. Amy?
I'm not from one of the good planets.
Steven?
I have the perfect voice acting for this character, I promise.
And Travis.
I will not be doing a terrible German accent.
Oh, really? Why would you want to do that?
Yeah, you should do more.
So, if you couldn't tell by the intro, we are talking about Voltron, Defender of the Universe. Now, there's been a lot of Voltrons. We're talking about the OG cartoon that came out, let's see, where's that date? In 1984. So,
It's a good year.
84.
Voltron. And we watched season 1, episode 4. Took them 4 episodes to put that dang thing together.
What were they doing for the other 3 episodes, Audie? I feel like I need more history now.
Oh my gosh. Well, first, let's talk about the actual how the show got made, and then we'll get into the story of it because there's some story. So, Voltron is arguably one of the first anime that really got brought to the States. And it's funny because all they used was the animation.
Yeah, they're like translating is too much work. We'll just
they scrapped everything of the Japanese translation and just redid it and kind of cut it together.
Yep.
It's like C-Lab.
And also, because it's for American audiences, there's a lot they cut out to make it kid-friendly. Like, they specifically wanted this to be a kid-friendly cartoon show. So, this show is made up of... It went for 2 seasons. It was made up of 2 different cartoon shows, just kind of smashed together, to the point where, like... So, there's 2 Japanese cartoons this comes from. The first one, the main one, is Beast King Go Lion, which is where we get the lions from. Season 2, which most people know as Vehicle Voltron, came from another totally different anime called Armored Fleet Dairugger 15.
Two shows that have nothing to do with one another.
Not at all.
Basically just were like, okay, who cares? We're just going to make it all one world.
Because, dear listener, there was a lot, and I mean a lot, of Japanese animated shows of combining vehicles to become one big robot. Or just going and flying into the head of a robot, and you pilot it.
Yep.
So for Voltron, they took Beast Lion Beast King Go Lion. Here's the funny thing. Originally, they were talking to Japan about doing a different show. And they said, the one with the lions. The Japanese people accidentally sent this one instead of another one, which was another show that was just about like 3 vehicles or 2 vehicles and a lion robot that come together. There was one big lion head on the chest, like huge. And that was it. But they liked the other one well enough. They were like, don't worry about it. And then there was
the Voltron we got was a mistake.
Yes.
They went to Toei and they were like, hey, we want that show with the lions. And they were like, we got you. And they send Beast King Go Lion, and the guys in the US were like, close enough.
That'll
It's
do.
the Voltron we deserve.
You're right.
I mean,
It's very true.
Yeah. So, I mean, they took what they got some people to do some voices for it, and just kind of slapped it together pretty much. And it took off. I mean, we're talking about it now. The toys that they sold for that thing. Good Lord. Like it was so much of how much they like the lions that there was one more anime that they were going to smash in here. They were like, don't worry about it. We like this lion thing. Everybody's good with the lions.
I mean,
And that's how
I'm
we
not
got
saying
Voltron.
I went to look for Voltron slippers after I watched the episode, and you can absolutely get them, and they're amazing. And I was like,
And we'll talk about that a little bit later, because Voltron has a history, and I'm a big fan of the more recent stuff. But before we get into that, let's talk about this wonderful episode.
Yeah.
So again, season 1, episode 4. This is the first episode of the season where they finally get Voltron together. And the episodes before that, it's all about them like, we need to go find Voltron. We should find Voltron. We can help with Voltron. Voltron can defeat Zarkon. Steven, that was it. That's the other episodes. Like they find some people, they find a planet, they escape from Zarkon, all to find Voltron. Like, okay. This is how well it was written. One of the lines in episode 2 or 3, they say, "We're space explorers. We need space."
Right. I mean,
that was episode 1. That was the first episode.
that sounds like an Elon Musk tweet.
Yeah, man. I mean, you got to state the obvious. This is an anime. You yell the ability you're using, and you got to make sure people. It's the epitome of. We've said it before on another show. It's tell, don't show. Make sure everybody's aware.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so let's start here. How familiar is everybody with Voltron? Did anybody watch this at all growing up? Let's start with Amy.
No, I did not. This was my first time ever seeing Voltron. I mean, I'm familiar with Voltron. I have watched enough other anime. Like, obviously, I am aware of Voltron as a cultural touchstone. Oh, but I'd never actually seen Voltron until just now. And yeah, heck of a show, though. Heck of a show.
What about you, Steven?
I have extensive knowledge of Voltron, all acquired during lunchtime this afternoon. And I'm saying I know about as much as Amy does about Voltron. I was aware that there were robots and they became a bigger robot. But like beyond that, nothing. But like most nerds, I act like I know what people are talking about when I'm at Dragon Con. I'm like, oh yeah, Voltron. I got you, because I see it on t-shirts and Hot Topic and stuff. But no, I got nothing. This was my first experience with it today. And like Amy, boy, was it an experience.
What about you, Travis?
So I definitely have some history with Voltron. I watched it a lot growing up because it ran on syndication. So it was, it ran on, I want to say it was syndicated on the USA Network. And
Yeah,
like,
it
all
was
the
at one
time.
point.
And I have more memory beyond these first few episodes and the later stuff. Because my memory was that the princess was with them and she was the one in the pink jumpsuit. Because the character, I did not remember the character of Sven, who is in the first. It's funny. So we talked about, and I don't know how much you want to go into the edits and the changes that they made right now, or if you want to save that.
We can save that. That's
Okay. But the character of Sven is a very specific major change that they made from the original anime of Beast King Go Lion. But no, I definitely watched it growing up. I did not I have not gotten into the newer stuff. Like Netflix did 7 or 8 short seasons over the course of like 3 years that I would like to check out, but I never did. But I definitely, I love this. I had Voltron toys growing up. I think at some point I had all 5 lions.
Nice.
I do not know for how long I had all 5 lions, but I know that at some point I could create a full-sized Voltron. I'm pretty sure I destroyed half of them.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
I remember-
definitely loved it.
I remember having the small die cast / super plastic.
I had that one.
Voltron lions.
I definitely had that, and I had that for a long time. But I know I had at some point I had like the interlockable ones, and then either lost them or I broke them or who knows what.
Yeah, these were separate, and you could actually put them together to make Voltron. I know I had Lance, just the Lance action figure. I think my sister had the princess. Don't remember if my brother had one. He must have, because we all had one. And I remember a friend of mine had the lions where you could put the action figures in and then they could create Voltron, and I was super jealous.
Wow.
That was the one I wanted and I never had.
Right,
'Cause
exactly.
That was the one.
Uh-huh.
And I think I also had a Voltron lunchbox at some point. I'm pretty certain that I did.
Nice. So I'm guessing, Amy, you didn't have a Voltron cake pan this time around?
No Voltron.
Oh, we've broken the
Uh,
streak.
I know.
Yep.
I know. We'd been doing pretty all right there. There's probably a Transformers one somewhere though. So I mean,
I
it's
mean,
tangential.
Yeah, you got your Power Rangers and your Voltron and your Transformers. They're all kind of in the same
Cousins.
zone.
Yeah.
Especially given that Voltron as a large robot is supposed to, I guess, kind of be sentient. I'm not sure. The show's wishy-washy on that. a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of stuff I have questions about in terms of how you pilot a Voltron. And
Yeah.
whether Voltron's the hero we need or whether we put him together. Like when we put him together, but we're all still piloting his brain. I don't understand.
Right.
But
Okay.
we'll get there.
So let's dive into it. So we open and Pidge is trying to get back to the castle. Here's the funny thing. The episode right before, Pidge decided to just run out and go attack the people, Zarkon's forces that are here on the planet by himself.
Yeah.
Little old Pidge goes up there with his blasters, pew, 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 easily gets overwhelmed. And everybody's like, well, where's Voltron? They figure out that
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
they figure out where Voltron is, which is just right there. It's like, oh yeah, we've got the keys right here. Oh, we've only got 4 keys. Well, let's go do something. And then they go do something. Pidge gets helped. The lions try to fight off, oh no, a road beast. And that's where this episode picks up. Where Pidge is trying to get back to the castle safely, helped out by the underground people of the planet who apparently can't talk because reasons.
We
It's
can't pay
expensive.
voice actors.
Budgets. Let me tell you.
I mean, they still only had 6 people doing all the voices anyway, so
We blew all the money on the score. Like,
yeah.
holy smokes, this music.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
You know?
I get pumped every time for that. Like, yeah, I've got it as my ringtone still. But and then it's just, okay, well, Pidge, get back here. Let's regroup. Where's that other key? We need the other key. Where's the key? I saw some mice. Maybe they have it.
The one girl mouse, which you
Yeah.
can tell because she was pink.
Mhm.
We got to take a step back, though, because this opened with a purple guy yelling at another guy, right?
Yeah.
And
With a cat. With a
right.
space cat.
And one of them looks particularly villainous, but sounds not at all villainous. And the other one, the purple one that's yelling, sounds remarkably like Brian Doyle Murray yelling at Clark Griswold. Like, I don't know if you guys heard it, but I just heard him like, Griswold! Like the whole, I don't know who voice acted him, but he was channeling a Murray. That's all I know for sure. And I wrote that in my notes. So we needed to get to it.
That would have been Jack Angel voicing King Zarkon.
That's okay. King Zarkon. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's Brian Doyle Murray yelling at Clark Griswold. Go back and listen with that in your head, and you'll hear it. It'll be there.
Oh yeah, no.
Oh yeah. But that's pretty much what Zarkon does every episode. And then Hagar's there, his little witch. We're going to do this and Voltron this and Voltron that. Nobody really checked themselves on the writing staff because she said she separated Voltron. But when we get back to the castle, they know exactly where the lines are. They have tubes going right to the lions.
Why are the tubes so long? Why does it take so long to get there?
I don't know.
Why?
Gotta pad that runtime.
Yeah, pretty much. We got to show how super cool
We
this
need that
castle is.
reusable animation.
Yeah.
There was so much of that. I'm pretty sure someone's just like sliding a cell of something over a background, like slowly, like do 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 do.
Mhm. And let me tell you how much they use those animations every single episode.
They
Guerrilla
only
animation.
animated Voltron as a robot with the sword once, and then they just use it in every single episode. It's the same footage every time.
Did they ever mirror
Occasionally
it?
they
Just to
might
make it
mirror.
look-
I think they might mirror it on occasion, but it's basically just the same thing every episode.
Yeah. And when it's new animation, when it's not the same thing, you can tell it was done very fast,
Yeah.
Yes.
very cheap.
It really is Adult Swim, like Space Ghost, Coast to Coast level animation we have going on. Like right click, flip vertical. There we go.
Perfect.
Yep.
It is, but it's done unironically.
Right.
That's
Yes.
the best part.
Very
is
earnest.
like C-Lab 2021 is meant to be, poking fun. And this was like, no, we want to make a show for kids, but we don't have a whole lot of money. So let's just grab this show. What's the story? Who cares? Just we'll write our own story. We'll make it up as we go. That's fine. We've got like 4 voice actors. They'll do the whole show. That's good. We're good there.
Mhm.
And
We'll fit it
just
in
go with
somehow.
it.
It's Japanese animation, so the mouths are moving without any particular syllabical like move. Like
Oh yeah.
all the letters and all the
They-
syllables are identical. So just fill in whatever words you want.
There's a part
Yeah.
where I forget exactly what they're saying, but like they definitely look to the princess for an answer, and it's just quiet for a second, and then she just nods.
Mhm.
Just say something.
Yeah.
Anything would be
Or-
great.
That or just when they form Voltron and they all say Voltron, Voltron, 2 syllables, and their mouths are
It's
Yeah.
like
Hold on.
75 syllables in that.
Yeah.
That's great.
I mean,
it's so
that's
good.
the charm of like a Godzilla movie, though. You know, like we
Mhm.
love it because it's so ridiculous that you're like, that definitely was less than 87 syllables, but here we are. We'll go
Right.
with it. We
Absolutely.
animated
I mean,
that many.
good to aim it at kids because they're not going to care anyway. So
No, I didn't care when I was a kid.
No.
Didn't care at all. It was just like, oh, there's giant lions, and then the mechanical lions turn into a big robot and it fights a thing. Cool, I'm in. I didn't care
Yeah.
about the story, at all. Like it just didn't matter to me.
No.
right. And so story. Let's see. Story. What was the story? Oh yeah, they found a key that some rats
Well,
had. The mice had.
Yeah, no, they like captured the mice. The
Mhm.
princess is like, these are my only friends. What are you doing? Hang
Mhm.
on.
That's great.
Let me talk to them. These mice who do a can
Yeah.
in full costume.
Yep.
To cheer her up.
And then to cheer her up, that's very great because all princesses can talk to animals. We all know that.
Mhm.
And then she's just like, oh, yeah, no, let me just ask him. Hey, do you guys know where the key is? Oh, yeah, no, they do. They'll get it. Just hang on.
Run, grab it out of their
Where
locker
was
real
this
quick.
4 episodes ago? Like, what, what are we
For
doing?
real.
Here's the thing, though, and we're poking fun at how it took them 4 episodes to finally get Voltron. It's still moving at a faster pace than any episode of DBZ ever did.
This is
Yeah, that's.
Very true. It took them like a season to get anywhere.
Mhm.
I mean, Dragon Ball Z would have like 3 episodes for one fight between 2
Yeah.
people.
And like half the season of Goku just getting ready for a fight.
Just
So,
yelling.
I mean, stuff happened in this. It
Mhm.
didn't make a whole lot of sense, but stuff happened.
Right. And then they get the key and they're like, okay, let's go do Voltron.
Yeah, we're ready now.
And so they go in those tubes and take that. We got to swing on the thing for a little bit, the handlebars,
Mhm.
drop into our pod, and go through a tunnel. And apparently our lions are just in different places because we've got different environments that we got to show off.
Oh yeah.
That's
I-
fine.
I wish that when I was getting ready for work in the morning that it was like getting to a Voltron. Like go through a tube, sit in this chair, be lifted to my computer and be like, haha, I'm ready to work now. Let me roll.
Mhm.
Like that would just be the best. That's my dream. That's what heaven is. It's just except like at the end there's not work. There's just like something else.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
see, I think I'm
Ex-
going for the Batman fire pole with my name on it. is I think
Yeah.
where I'm
Yeah,
going.
because I'm not sure I could hang on to those handlebars just
For that
zooming
long.
around for so long.
So long.
Well, in
You gotta get your upper body strength.
yeah.
Wait,
Mhm.
so
to do
we missed the part. So the best part is Pidge is looking for right. They're not here. We don't know where they are. They're gone. And Pidge is like, Voltron Force is fine. Or Lion Force is fine. Whatever. And so then he hears through the radio snoring. And he's like, oh,
Yes.
there they are. Are they hurt? Are they dead? Well, they're snoring, so they're alive. So, hey guys,
Hmm.
I'm back. Wake up.
Yeah. His powers
They're
of
just trying
deduction
to
are great.
upset me. Oh,
Yeah.
that's a lot.
And then he still has to try and pull a fast one on them when they come back by hiding
Yep, by hiding.
and waiting.
And the
Right.
princess is just looking like,
Like mauling them
There.
too. It was like that kid that you meet that you're just like, you're just so weird. What are you doing? Like, why did you do that? Doesn't make any sense.
Also, these people in the Voltron Force are superhuman because in the first episode they get captured in the very first episode. They get put into a cell and they walk in and there's the window up high with the with bars on it. And they're like, oh, we need to get up to that. And Pidge just goes, I got it, and leaps like 25 feet in the air. Out of nowhere for nothing.
amazing.
It's just it's
Yeah.
fantastic.
The plot required
Yeah.
his ability to move like
Yeah.
that.
And see, that's one of those things that's lost in translation. I think in the original Go Lion stuff, Pidge is like descended from some big ninja clan or something, and so that's why he's so good at fighting and stuff. But did they need to explain that here? Nah,
No.
No.
no. He can just
We don't
jump
need
good.
But they
But
do
then-
they do finally form Voltron, and then they
They
fight.
do.
We're gonna have
I
to talk
mean,
about the rubies.
They try a
gonna
couple
happen.
times. They get smacked with some rockets. They're like, "We got to do this," and they just do it. And we
They
get the
jump at
animation
it
that
first though, because this is the best part. Their main attack is to just jump at it at vaguely crotch level,
Yeah.
which doesn't work.
Which
Because
then
the Phobies
they repeat
the
that
Phobies-
same strategy over and over. Like
over and over.
Mhm.
that
Like,
didn't
try it
work.
again.
Let's do it
Which-
Do it
again.
again.
is the same strategy from the previous episode with 4 lions. They're like, "Hey, we've got 5. 5 will do it, right?"
I'm
Right?
gonna do it. No,
Nope.
no.
That thing just chucks them everywhere.
Yeah.
Ugh. The
And then they're like,
rubies.
"Well, we got to form Voltron. That's how this works. So let's
Right.
form Voltron."
It's the name of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Let's
Mhm.
go.
Yeah,
Let's
it's
go.
time
And
to do it.
eventually they get there. He smacks them a couple times with some of those missiles.
While
certain areas.
while Voltron just stands there
Yeah.
is real good. Just not animated. just
He's
standing.
rusty, man. Like it's you know how
Mhm.
long like the Voltron hasn't been assembled.
That's
There's
true.
time.
You're right.
But I couldn't help
It's
but
like
when
it's like if you were trying to assemble your Voltron toy now. Like you're missing pieces.
Yeah.
You don't know where
Good
they
luck.
are. It's not gonna go together.
it's not going to be very limber. All I could think
No,
about
you're
was
right.
when they were talking about we got to become Voltron. We've got to become Voltron. Was the scene in Spaceballs where he's like, "Why are we preparing? We're always preparing. Just go." It's like we need to do it. And then they fight some more. It's like we really need Voltron, and they fight a little bit more, and they jump into space, and then they all like catch on fire for 20 minutes. It's like, are we gonna
Yeah.
live? It's just the best.
Yeah, apparently you can't form Voltron within the atmosphere. You have to
Okay.
go into the upper atmosphere to do that,
Mhm.
I guess. Is
Yeah.
my
Sure.
guess.
That's fine.
But also, the first time you go to do it, if you get hit by rockets, you knock back down. But the second time, oh no, those rockets are
second
only
time you
worth
push
it
through.
once.
Well, you
Second
yell.
time you just force of will, and the rocket doesn't do anything.
Yeah, full throttle. You
and-
got it. You're yelling. You're pushing forward on the yoke. You're
Mhm.
like,
Yep.
you're going.
so intense. It's very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we have to talk about this roe beast, or
We have
Amy's
to
going
talk about the
explode.
roe beast. Now, all right, so the roe beast has drill nipples. And now I honestly, I would have been able to just sort of let that go. All right. Except at the end of the show, we get scenes from next week's episode. And we see the coffin come down, and we see another roe beast get out, and it has cannon nipples. And so this is clearly some sort of thing. And I don't understand.
The 80s
I've
were
got
weird
one word for
AF,
you.
man.
It really is.
Japanese.
Yeah.
I know. I have watched enough anime to just go, Japan.
Yeah.
It's okay. But also,
Because
what?
you talking about that just reminded me of the one other anime thing I remember watching, which was for us in the States called Transor Z. Japan, it was called
Mm.
Manziger Z. I think
Oh,
it still
I
had
don't
the
remember
Z.
that one.
Yeah, that rings a bell.
Okay. So there's this dude who pilots a little helicopter thing, gets in the head of this robot, and he
Mm.
pilots the robot. And the big thing about Transor Z is he had these fists that just could shoot out and
Yep.
do stuff. Like that was the big thing. There was a girl with a female robot who definitely had rocket boobs. Like
I
just,
mean,
and they did not want the kids to see that as much. So they tried their best to keep that out. But you can go
no.
and find clips of that for sure. And it's just like, whoa.
Mm,
And
just-
like, not even like, just like, how did that fit in that chest cavity kind of rockets coming out of the boobs? It's ridiculous.
Oh,
So yeah, they have a thing for that
Japan.
for some reason. But we'll leave that
mean,
over there.
And they're fine.
Yeah, I
Everything's
will say,
fine.
aside from the weird nipples on the roe beast, like the two that we saw
Oh,
in
they
this
were
episode,
awesome.
they're a cool design.
His
Mhm.
But
dumb
it's like
face
95.
was so good.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
it's 95% like that's awesome. And then what is going on the chest though? Because
Right.
like these aren't just drill nipples; they're like they stick way out.
And like
Like
at first I
Madonna.
thought because he's got kind of like a thing around his neck. So I was like, oh, is it like part of a chest? No,
Nope.
no.
He
It's
looked
not.
like somebody took a muscular Hulk Hogan with a Madonna bra and then put a blob a blobfish as a head. That's like if
Yeah.
you didn't watch it,
Yeah.
that's basically what we saw.
And the other funny thing about it is paying ever so slightly attention to what little story there is. This character is not like that before it's turned into the roe beast. It's like kind of just generic thing fighting in the Coliseum for Zarkon, and then they put him in the casket, send him off, and
We're
he
gonna
comes
need
out
some
all spiky
upgrades.
all over.
I know. Drill nipples.
That's what we do for upgrades. That's like Japan RPG in the 80s is like add spikes in places. How about his nipples? Yeah, that sounds good.
That sounds good.
Mm.
Put him
Mhm.
there.
Go with it.
What do Americans like? He-Man. Well, let's put him in a He-Man outfit with some spike nipples, and that'll do, and make him
Yep.
invincible until Voltron comes.
Right.
Okay.
That might have been my favorite part of this too, is like as the 5 lions, they can do nothing to the roe beast, but they combine to form Voltron, and you just flip it, and
They
now
also
the
got-
roe beast
Mhm.
can do nothing.
Way bigger.
Oh,
Like
Yeah,
way bigger. Voltron is more than the sum of his parts by a
It's very-
significant margin.
Mhm.
I think
That's why you got to go to space for it.
What
That
Voltron
must be
tries
it.
to teach us is the power of teamwork. And you guys are
is.
just downplaying the abilities
I-
that a real team can
Teamwork
provide.
and everybody yelling in unison.
Yes, yelling together
Mostly.
the abilities that you plan to use. That's the
Yeah.
key.
Yep, you have to. And when I say that they reuse that animation for Voltron in every episode, they also reuse the audio of Keith telling them, you form the legs and feet, you form the arms and chest, and
yeah.
I'll form the head every time they make
Yep.
Voltron. So apparently, that's the secret to it.
Mhm.
You have to yell that out when you form Voltron.
Yeah.
Does the
You don't
sword
wanna
come
get the
out
order
every time?
wrong.
Like, do they always use the sword, or is that
Just about.
is it always the last thing they do? Like, do they always try to fight without it just to see if they can, and then they're like,
Sure.
"Oh, okay,
Oh
it's
yeah.
sword time now.
Mhm.
Like,
I mean, the energy use is just
oh, okay.
phenomenal.
Right,
So
yeah,
you gotta
right.
you gotta try and save that.
I mean, why? Like, just blow. You're talking about a giant monster, like wrecking people. Like, it's time. Just get the sword out, smack him, and go back to bed. That's how we do this.
Efficiency. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're tired
Sort
after.
of, sort of like the efficiency of voice acting in this, because
hmm
that was
Mhm.
another thing I loved, is you literally have 6 people doing this entire show.
Yeah.
And that's fine. That's not uncommon. 97% of the Simpsons is like 4 people.
Yep.
But Michael Bell, bless him, did Lance and Sven, and it's very clearly the same person doing Lance, and then a vaguely German, although he's supposed to be Norwegian,
Sure.
I think, or Swedish character,
Sure.
as Sven. But it's just like, that's just the same dude, maybe trying to do an accent poorly.
Mhm.
That's fine. Now I will say Neil Ross did Keith and Pidge,
Yeah.
and they're different.
They're different.
The choice was made on that voice for Pidge.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Listen, not being good at voices has gotten me 5 seasons deep into a fiction podcast. So I respect these people and their work.
If you can't change your voice, you just change your accent. You just pick
Yeah.
like, I'm in New York now, or
Mhm.
hello, it's me. I'm a German man. And you're like, that's not even remotely German. But okay.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Works for the kids though.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, I didn't notice it.
Yeah.
hmm
I also love that our 5 main Voltron force at the start of this series is Keith, Lance, Sven, Pidge, and then the larger guy is Hunk.
Hunk.
Oh, that's good.
Such a great name.
This is where they
Mhm.
get the idea for boy bands in the late 90s, isn't it?
It all came from
Probably.
Voltron.
Okay, it's
Yeah.
the same
Boys to men
archetypes.
can form.
Mhm.
Boys to men can form a giant robot
Okay.
in a white shirt that's
I
has no
mean,
buttons.
I'd pay money for that. Backstreet Boys came back and did a tour, and they're like, by the way, we formed a giant robot.
Backstreet's
And be
back.
like, heck yeah, Backstreet's back. They said that on their
Yeah.
first album where they hadn't been anywhere, but they came back.
Mhm.
It's always bothered me, but it's okay.
Okay, so let's talk about the makeup of the teams, because Steven, you pointed out you remembered more, or was it Steven or Travis remembering the princess being in there more?
That was me.
Oh, it's
I remember
Travis.
the
Yeah.
princess more.
So here's one of the lovely things that they did to edit this show. Like, what is it, episode 7 or 8? Sven gets hurt for us Americans
Mhm.
and goes and does something else. In the
Yeah,
actual
he
Go
gets-
Lion,
He gets injured and sent to a hospital planet.
right?
But you don't see that happen. You just hear, oh, he's gone to the
Mhm.
hospital planet to recover.
Right,
Went
and
to
that's
a
where
farm upstate.
Yeah, because
He can run free
because-
with the other robot pilots.
Mhm.
because in the original series, what happens, Audie?
Sven's killed. They straight up kill him. Like, there's a lot of violence that is not shown in the American version of this show, and they just kill him. And so that's why the princess takes over for him. Later on in the show, he happens to have a brother that shows up. And for the Americans, oh, Sven's back. He's okay.
Yeah, in the Japanese version, his identical brother ends up being in the series later on. And so
Mhm.
they just were like, oh, it's the same character for this one. It's just Sven. He was captured and now he's broken out of his slavery and he's fine again.
Mhm.
And he's back, but he's not going to be a pilot. He's not piloting one of the lions anymore because
Right.
the princess is there. So,
Princess is there. I'm here with the freedom fighters. I'm good.
yeah, because they definitely had violence was a big thing that they had to change when they brought this
Mm-hmm.
over. All of the forces, Zarkon's forces are all robotic in the show, and because they can't kill people. It's
Right.
very similar to what happened with the reason why and I just talked about this last weekend, the Masters of the Universe movie, the live action movie, all of Skeletor's troops had to be robots because Mattel had said, no, He-Man is not allowed to kill anyone on screen.
Yeah.
But if we make him robots, well, that's not a person. He's not
Yes,
killing
yeah.
someone. So it was the same thing they did here. They make them robots, and suddenly it's fine. They did it with
Right.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They turned the foot
Mhm.
soldiers into robots in the cartoon, and then doesn't matter.
Mhm.
But the other thing that I thought was interesting they had to cut was they said, okay, no violence or death. Fine, I get that. So like characters in the original series would die, and in this series they would either they would say like, oh, somebody is in a coma, or they would have some line of dialogue to let you know that that person didn't die. They're going to be fine. They're just written off the show. They just never
Yeah.
show up again. But they also wouldn't allow any religious iconography, and they tried to limit how much stuff in the series gave you the impression it was Japanese.
Yeah, everything
So
Japanese. So if there was any Japanese writing, if anybody was eating with chopsticks,
they would cut that out.
mhm.
Because the producers that were making Voltron didn't think that it would work as well for American kids if it didn't look like it was an American show.
Well, clearly they have no idea what Americans like, because we had all the violence in the 80s and they're like, no violence? Like, that's the last. I would be
Mhm.
worried about less about like chopsticks than like, you're taking out the violence. This is America. Like, what are you doing?
Right.
Like, this is
I
part of
mean, that
how
was
we
that was
operate.
definitely censor boards
Mhm.
and saying
Oh,
like you
yeah.
can't make this for kids, because Robotech, when it came over in syndication, they could play with that a little bit more, because they weren't trying to necessarily market it to children as much, but
Right.
this one was meant and aimed at kids. So the censors were just like,
Mhm.
and they even said in one of the articles I read, they're like, we basically, if we figured the censor was going to make us cut it, we cut it.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
was just the way that they went.
There's a couple things that got through there in the first couple episodes. So like there's
True.
definitely at one point where Koran's like
Oh, he crossed himself?
doing
Yeah.
doing the cross thing, and they pray to Alfor at some point out of respect, but they
Mm.
don't say anything about it. They're just like in their prayer stance, and that's it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
Yep.
stuff like that they can kind of get away with because they're not talking about it at all, and then it just ends up being weird because they're just sitting there with their hands folded.
Because it's just a moment of somebody with their hands folded, and then they say nothing and then move on.
Yeah.
But there's the key. Let's get the key. That's
Yeah.
what's
Oh, and
important.
I didn't mention, by the way, the best of the voice actors that were
Mhm.
involved in this, because he did the opening narration and he played a couple of characters, and that's Peter Cullen, who you
Oh,
probably know as
man.
Optimus Prime.
Yeah.
And Scooby Doo. People forget.
Yeah. So that was one. I had forgotten that Peter Cullen did the opening narration for every episode,
Oh yeah.
and when it started up, I was like, oh yes, okay, we're good.
Yeah.
I'm in a happy place now.
hmm You can really hear him in that opening credit if you're used to his Optimus Prime voice. You don't hear him as easily when he's doing Karan, who's like Mr.
No.
Uppity dude in the castle.
Yeah.
Who I think had like one line in this episode we watched.
Yeah.
Grant is barely in it.
hmm So, I mean, somehow it caught on. Somehow it was cool enough that kids were like, I mean, those lions, man, those lions.
Well,
And then
that's
they
the
had,
thing. Think about some other 80s cartoons, though, that were contemporary to this one. You've got Voltron, you have Thundercats, you have Silverhawks.
Mhm.
What do they all have in common? They have one or two scenes that are flashy and interesting, usually in the intro. But the
Yeah.
episodes themselves are pretty flat. But we didn't care as kids. We watched
Right.
that intro, and then we were just so high on sugar that it didn't matter, and we
Yep.
could last out for the 20 minutes plus commercials.
Yeah.
And that's what it was. So they definitely got away with, we've just got a little bit, and then to reuse that animation too. So again, as kids, when we see this every single time, we get to see those lions, we get to see them
You get to see
combine,
the
and
thing.
hmm
yep,
While
and over
choking down
100
your
and
sugar O's.
Yeah.
You know?
120 something episodes worth of that. So
Yeah. And Voltron is one of those cartoons that has stood the test of time. There was been several other instances of them trying to do it. So there was this one where they started the first season with the lions. The second season was Vehicle Voltron, which was made of like 15 different vehicles came together and
Yeah.
formed a robot.
That's a lot of teamwork, man.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Well, it
That
was like
has
one
like
car was just a foot, one car was this part of the leg, and the another car
oh
was this part of the
no.
leg. Like
No,
they did a lot more of adding those together to make the Voltron.
like
Had to sell
you
them
ever done
toys.
Yeah.
a raid thing in WoW with that many people? Like, there's
Yeah.
no way you're putting them
You're
together
gonna
in a
need
row.
middle
Mhm.
management.
Yeah.
It's just
Who's
not
gonna
gonna
be
be
the team
good.
lead for the leg? Left leg team?
Yeah.
Left leg team?
And they all had different properties as to like this was the sea team, this was the air team, this was the land team.
Oh,
So,
cool.
I think part of that was, definitely using the multiple vehicles. Hey, we got to sell a lot of toys now. Like,
Mhm.
yes, let's get them in there. And
Yeah,
then after
and it didn't do that well. By the way,
no, because everybody liked the Lions.
Lions
That
are
was what
great.
everybody was all about.
it's
And
because the
so then
Lions
you
are
get
dope.
so then we get to 1998 and we have Voltron the Third Dimension. This was them trying to do it all in computer animation, and it was around the same time as like Reboot, that style of animation.
Oh
Mm,
boy. That's
So I
dated.
remember seeing it. I've watched some of it here and there, and it's that Reboot animation. Um, it only lasted 2 seasons of a total of 26 episodes. It looks like they tried again in 2010 with Voltron Force, and this one was kind of trying to be a kind of sequel to the original animation. This one they had computer animated lions and stuff. It was better animation, kinda. Um, and then they did traditional looking animation for the characters and everything running around. And boy, do they look like 2010 character designs. If you Google that, you'll see what I mean. Like all kinds of weird spiky hair and just. But then we get to the more recent one, which is the one that I have watched in its entirety and will highly recommend, Voltron Legendary Defender. So this one's done between Netflix and DreamWorks. They came together, and the crew is a lot of people that were behind Avatar: The Last Airbender.
oh, all right.
So they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And the real interesting thing about this series is they take a lot of the concepts from the original Japanese animation and bring those in, along with a lot of the stuff that we remember from the American cartoon too. Um, so this is the part where I'll tell you, if you want to watch the original Voltron, you're welcome to. But I say if you want some really good Voltron, watch this one on Netflix because it's really good. It's really epic, and they know what they're doing, and they're telling the story like an actual story.
I don't
Um,
know. I kind of want to see what happens with Roby's nipple technology.
To see where it goes. The
I got to
advancements.
see where this ends. I
It's,
mean,
yeah, Roby's nipples. It's really got me on the hook here.
if everything eventually evolves into a crab, I can only imagine that at some point we're going to get pinchy crabs, and I want to be there for that.
Wait, like crab, like nipple,
Yeah,
like
little
nipples,
crab arms.
and
Yeah,
it's coming out of your
exactly.
nipples. Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
wanna be
nightmare
there
fuel.
for that.
Thanks for that.
yeah,
You're
whatever works
welcome.
for you. Okay.
These pictures of Voltron Defender look pretty great. It looks
Yeah.
like cartoons that my son has actually been into, like in terms of animation. So
Hmm.
I think you might be onto something, Audie.
Yeah, and I've been watching it. The thing I like about it is they're all like 20, 30-minute episodes. They're really digestible. You know, you can watch a couple in an hour and get through plenty of story, and it gets intense. Um, there's some callbacks to the original Voltron that are hilarious. Like when they first try to go to the Lions, Hunk definitely can't hang on to the handlebars that they have, and he
Nice.
slides down, misses his little vehicle that goes to the lion. Like
Oh,
there's some
no.
nice, funny nods to the original animation. Um,
Hey, you gotta know where you came from.
yeah,
Mhm.
for sure, and they definitely know what they're doing. Um, but still, I mean, it all comes back to that original cartoon that just had us all pumped for lions coming together and forming a robot.
Yeah, because the
Yeah.
music really it set the tone
Mhm.
right
Mhm.
there. Like, I don't know much about Voltron, but I knew I was in for something because I was like, "Holy crap, there's some
And it's
sound."
such a and it's such a simple little melody that they just keep
Mhm.
repeating, and it works. Like I've been whistling and humming it all day,
Yeah,
Yep.
just all over the house and walking Bella
Mhm.
out in the neighborhood, and it's been there all day, and it's so good.
Yeah, at one point they actually released the soundtrack for it, not too long
Mhm.
ago. So that's I think you could buy it digitally at this point. Um,
well, I'm turning
but
that on
yeah,
when I'm taking my son to school. Like, Sam, we're about to get pumped because we're going into carpool line. Bam, blasting out the speakers.
That's
Yes.
uh-huh. I'm pretty sure that was one that we used to use at camp to wake up kids, where we did,
Nice.
have some song ready to just blare, and that one especially because it just starts with the trumpets, bum, 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 bum.
Yeah.
Good stuff. All right, so now that we've seen Voltron, what's everybody's opinions of it now, having actually watched it?
I certainly
Well,
liked it
guys.
more than I had any right to. I was like, I got into it because at the beginning, I'm like, what are we doing? What is happening? But basically, once we started going out to actually fight like a big monster, I was all. It was like Steven said, right? Like it's like a Godzilla movie, right?
Mhm.
Because it's like, all right, no, I'm in. Great, we're done talking about people. Fantastic, let's go.
It's kaiju stuff. I
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I've enjoyed watching it knowing that I was going to get to talk about it. How about that? Like it's less about the show itself, but it's more about knowing that I'm going to gather with a community of friends and just tear it apart. In some ways positively and negatively. I'm going to just write down all the stupid stuff I saw and all the cool stuff I saw, and we're going to dissect it. And that was exciting. The show itself, I'm probably not gonna watch another one. Unless you guys are like, "Hey, I want to watch another Voltron and talk about it." I'd be
You
like,
gotta
"Yeah,
see the nipples in this
I'm
one.
ready. Yeah, I'm ready for the next chapter in nipple apocalypse." Boy, that was hard to try to combine. Um, but yeah, so I don't think I'm gonna revisit the series. I didn't have it, as a kid. I didn't watch it, so there's no endearing portion of it.
Mhm.
It didn't break me. How about that? Like if I went back and watched
Sure.
Thundercats, which I enjoyed, I'd probably be like, I don't know why I like this show. This was fine. No emotional attachment. Love talking about it with you guys. Good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I can see myself throwing it on as like some background noise, just something to have on while I'm working on something else or during work if it's a slow period, for sure. But I do want to watch the Voltron Legendary Defender. I would love to see this world done where there's time and effort put into writing the story instead of just let's just throw some dialogue in here and maybe it'll make sense. But who cares because it's a bunch of kids, you know.
Mhm.
Some care put into it. I definitely want to watch that. But I would throw Voltron on just for fun. Like it is definitely harmless in that way. I have a bunch of other stuff I would put on first, most notably Garfield and Batman. Um, but definitely I would watch it again. I mean, it is what I remembered it being, which is total cheese and like I remember it as a kid just all I cared about were the big lions. So if I get that out of it, I'm fine. And
Mhm.
apparently odd nipples.
Yeah.
I think what I learned out of this, I really want more shows just to be copy pasted into America and then people to write new stories on top of them. Like I want more of that to happen because it sounds like a really interesting challenge for writers and
I
also a
wanted
really
to
way to make a
go
buck.
I wanted to go the other way. Like,
Yeah.
I want The Office to go to Japan, and then I wanna be able to watch it with subtitles. Like,
Yes.
make this up.
And just see what they change.
Mhm.
Well,
That too.
See what
if
they
you I
do.
mean, this wasn't the first show to do this either, because again,
No.
Robotech came over as from Macross. There was Star
Mhm.
Blazers, is
Mhm.
another
Yeah.
one. If you get a chance to watch that, that's pretty fantastic. In the same way that Voltron is fantastic.
Yes.
So there's plenty out there for you, Steve.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. That's the world I want to live in.
Plenty. But yeah, I would absolutely steer you towards the Netflix one. Like, I cannot praise that more highly enough. Just sheer the animation that they do and just the story they write. And somehow it's one of those stories that just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and they make it work.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes it's just like, okay, this is just getting stupid. And at first you're like, yeah, that's kind of stupid, but man, that's awesome. Incredible.
Oh, I can get Amy to watch Voltron Legendary Defender using 2 words.
Oh boy.
Reese Darby.
Oh
Yes.
man.
He is Koran, and
Damn
he's
it.
amazing.
All right, I'm in.
You will love it.
Oh man.
Got him.
You're welcome.
Absolutely. That whole voice cast is just amazing. On top of Reese Darby. Absolutely.
And it's
All
more
right.
than 6 people.
Yeah. Money.
Yep. Everybody's voiced by an individual person
Yes.
that's not voicing another character. But they have a lot of fun. Like, there's one episode later on where they play D&D in the episode.
Yes.
Of
And
course
it's
they
just
do.
amazing.
So good.
Outstanding.
So,
Love it.
but that, dear listener, has been Voltron, Defender of the Universe. So, did you watch it growing up? Do you have any opinions on it? Definitely let us know. You can hit us up on Twitter. You can hit us up on our email. Travis, what's our email again?
Those were the days show at gmail.com. And we actually have an email this week. We also did get one response on Twitter about Voltron specifically from D.W. Lundberg, the Nostalgia Cast, who said, watched. I'd have had that thing injected in my veins if I could.
Yes.
So there's a fan right there.
Mhm.
So we did get an email, but before we get to the email, real quick, I posed to the 3 of you last week that Saturday morning cartoons mean cereal, and that I would get cereal to watch our cartoons, but that none of you could guess what cereal that I bought. And it is not a multi meal; it is a national brand. In fact, I will even tell you who makes it, and you still won't get it. I'll give all 3 of you a guess. It is from Kellogg's. Okay, so I'm going to start with Audie. Audie, what do you think it is?
Gonna go with Sugar Smacks.
Wrong. Steven?
Oh, snap. Kellogg's, I don't know.
Or just throw out any cereal. That's
Corn
fine.
Flakes.
Nope. Amy.
Oh, that
Got a
was gonna
guess?
be mine. Raisin Bran.
Also no. But Amy was the
Love Raisin
closest
Bran.
of the 3, I believe. And here's the thing. Okay, so Steven, we have established in this show, is the 8-year-old taxi fan, right?
Yes.
The odd thing. I, as a kid, mind you, my favorite cereal, and still to this day is my favorite cereal, and I have a box of it upstairs right now, is Kellogg's Cracklin' Oat Bran.
Oh.
Hands down my favorite
Yeah.
cereal. And I almost couldn't find it, and I was very, very upset. It was like buried at the bottom, and there were boxes missing, so I had to like crawl back and get some of it. And
Amazing.
I was not leaving that store without a box of Cracklin' Oat Bran.
Oh, that's
And
amazing.
So, yep. So that was my cereal, and I have that now. We have an email. Our first feedback email, I believe, and this is from Julia Norman.
Ooh.
And it says Aldi scanning speed. It says, "Hey, 3 former 16-year-old boys and Amy, who deals with them quite admirably. I love the show and cracked up at the recent discussion of Garfield and Friends. Pretty sure I had completely forgotten about U.S. Acres, but remember loving it. As an avid Aldi shopper, I loved hearing Travis talking about the Aldi speed scanning. Just wanted to point out, though Travis may already know this, that Aldi is so fast because they put barcodes on basically every surface of the product. So no matter what way they bought the box or can goes over the scanner, it's able to read it. I counted at least 5 of them on my Aldi products, but sometimes they cover the whole side of the cereal box. Just a little fun fact from the grocery nerd in me. Is that a thing? Also, requesting Gemma and the Holograms next time y'all do cartoons. My favorite
Oh,
as a
don't
kid.
worry.
Julia, mom of 3 future 16-year-old boys. And there is a box, a photo of the box, and it is definitely barcodes that span like the entire back of the box. It's just one long barcode. So
Perfect.
yeah.
Oh,
And
that's
I
great.
do remember that. It always amazes me when you're at Aldi because they're just throwing stuff over the scanner. Like it's going
Yep.
from the belt to the cart in the air and getting scanned. It's amazing.
Somebody's
See,
throwing it from
Gem
the
and the
back of the
holograms.
store.
Gem and the holograms was like one of my options, which I guess it could still happen.
You got some time to
could.
decide.
Could.
It could still happen.
Speaking of decide, we also have the results of our poll.
Are we
So
going to
put up
tell
a
them
poll.
that now? Or are we going to...
Wait, before we do
We're gonna
that, did
tell
we
them-
all eat cereal? Because I specifically ate cereal so we could talk about cereal for a second. And
Sure.
Okay. Yeah.
I broke my
Okay.
whole 30 because I needed to eat cereal for you people.
Yes.
All right, I just
What did
won.
you eat?
I had Cocoa Puffs.
No, good. What,
And they
what
were
did you eat?
delicious. They were everything I ever
delicious.
dreamed of. I love Cocoa Puffs. That's like
Nice.
chocolate cereal. Me and my sister-in-law will fight over a box of Cocoa Puffs or Cocoa Rice Krispies to the point that one time I ate all of them in the box and just put the box back in with just enough to fill the bottom of a bowl. And she wanted to
Oh, no.
murder me. And I was like, gotcha. And she still hates me to this day for it.
I have a podcast recommendation for when you're done with listening to this one. Download The Empty Bowl. It is a meditative podcast about cereal. It's all very chill and very quiet.
Interesting.
It's Justin McElroy and
Oh.
I forget
Okay.
the other guy, but he runs the Serialistly website. And it's all real, like news about the cereal world and reviews of new cereals. But it's all very calm.
That sounds
There's
good.
like ocean sounds in the background. And you can just chill out for like half an hour and just think about cereal.
You had me at a
so-
McElroy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. I'm not allowed to listen to it in the grocery store anymore because then I just buy like a
Just
lot of cereal.
You
Walking
just end up with a
around.
cartload of cereal.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's how I wound up with that like honey granola Cheerios things. And they're good. Anyway. Cereal.
So we had Cracklin' Oat Bran, we had Cocoa Puffs. Audie's over here eating a bowl of corn pops.
That's right.
Oh, I love
That's mine.
Pops. Yeah.
That's mine that I always loved. Hardly ever had as a kid. So, and don't eat regularly, but when it's like vacation or something, I'm like, let me get my special cereal.
Yeah.
We'll get that. I just got went to the store today and got a whole box of the multiple different cereals in the little boxes.
I swear that's the
Um,
only reason I had sleepovers as a kid. Because
It was
mom
so
would
you
let
could have
us
those, yeah.
get the little cereal boxes. I don't think I liked having sleepovers,
Yeah.
but I did like tiny cereal.
I don't like people, but
Now
I
I'm an
love little
adult.
cereal boxes.
I'm an adult. I can have them all by myself.
I don't even have to
That's
ask
right.
my mom.
I would though.
What did
Yeah,
you
it was-
have, Amy? Did you have a cereal?
I have now finished off my box of Cinnamon Life cereal.
Oh,
So
good
when I go to the
choice.
store tomorrow, I will pick out something new. I might buy a tiny box of cereal
Mm-hmm.
so I can have some Fruit Loops.
Oh, Fruit
Because
Loops.
I
Yeah,
only
Fruit
like
Loops is good.
a deck of playing cards amount of Fruit Loops at a time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I do not require a box of Fruit Loops.
A
That
buddy.
is a lot of Fruit Loops. It's like getting Fruity Pebbles by the
Yeah.
big
Mhm.
box because
Little bit.
that's a dense box of cereal.
It's a lot.
Yes. Fruity Pebbles is the one I always wanted as a kid. My parents never got me, and now I understand why.
You get it. A friend of mine was never allowed to have cereal as a kid, so they had to life hack their cereal. So the cereal that he got, he would take graham crackers and break them into pieces and then put
Oh,
milk over
snap.
them and eat the graham crackers like they were cereal. And I was like, that
We're
is
living in 2030 over here.
Yeah, I know.
That
No
is-
doubt.
from the future.
That
He
is
still
some
does it.
galaxy brain work right
Yeah,
there.
he swears it's the best cereal that you could get without actually being cereal because
I'm
You know,
not gonna argue.
there are rules.
I won't argue with it, but second best. Crackling Oat Brand's still better.
Got it.
I will again say, working at camp, I think at one point they had granola for the counselors and just took the granola bars that they would give in kids' lunches and just smashed them up and put them in the cereal thing.
It is
Mhm.
really
And it
like
worked. I dug it.
it's like the military tricks they have with MREs. They're like, if you take your cigarette, you open it, you put the coffee in it, and put that in your lip. You have coffee for like 6 hours. You're like, what are you doing? What is this life?
Oh, I did while I was buying my cereal. I did look for the box of the shredded wheat where it's like just two giant
too
bricks of
big.
shredded wheat. I couldn't find
Mhm.
it. They're all mini wheats now.
Yeah.
Mm.
Not even right.
But definitely, when Amy gets her cereal tomorrow, she'll be posting pictures of that on Twitter. So look for
Oh, yeah.
those
Oh yeah.
at
Mhm.
those days show on Twitter.
There you go.
Yep. All right. So, do we want to talk about the poll? Do we want to
Oh, yeah, the
throw that
poll.
out there? What are we doing?
We want to
Yeah.
talk about the poll?
Let's do
or are
the
we
poll.
gonna do that at the end of the next
Oh, wait.
one? At the end of this topic.
Does it matter?
No.
They've all voted.
They did all vote.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We can say what the next topic is, and then at the
All right.
start of it, we will give the
All right.
poll for the next one. So we had 4 choices. We put it to a vote. It was game shows, sketch comedy, special guest stars, and courtroom shows. And winning this poll with a total of 43.5% special guest stars.
Yeah.
All right.
That is going to
Alright.
be our next topic.
This opens some things up.
It does. There's some doorways.
Uh-huh.
I got a coin flip in my brain. Like it's just one or the other. It's gonna happen.
I have some thoughts, some ideas, some things rattling around in my head already, and I think it's going to be fun. So
It's gonna be a good one.
I was gunning for courtroom, so I'm gonna have to figure out what I'm gonna do.
If it had been courtroom, I would have been in our Google Doc typing night court so fast because I literally do not know any other court shows.
As long as we talk about it, I don't care who did it.
Oh yeah, I was gonna have to fudge something. Like this is
There's
mostly
no reality in which we're not talking about night court.
It's gonna
Mhm.
happen.
well, this is true.
Just a night court podcast now.
But we still got 2 episodes, two cartoon episodes to go.
More cartoons.
That's right. So next week,
Yeah.
Steven, are you up?
Yeah, it's my turn, baby. So you guys are gonna join me on my what for me was a weekday before school event more than it was a Saturday morning cartoon for me. But it started as a Saturday morning cartoon, and that is Bobby's World, the Howie Mandel cartoon, where he does the voice of a very small, like pre-K toddler kid who goes on little adventures. And it's one of the episodes that I remember, and I will still sing the song in it to myself. And maybe if you remember the show, you remember it. But it was season 1, episode 2, Uncle Ted's Excellent Adventure, and I am really excited about it. I wasn't, and then I was like, "Oh snap! I found the one with the song in it," and now I'm really into it.
Awesome.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
It's gonna be good.
I'm thinking of a song right now. I wonder if it's that one.
You'll find out. Bobby's World, baby.
Bobby's World. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, with that, we will close the show here. Thank you so much, everybody, for hanging out with us in the chat. Thank you for listening to us. If you still have thoughts and opinions on Voltron, feel free to send those in. Just like Julia sent in her thoughts and opinions on Garfield and Friends from last week.
There you go.
Yeah.
Definitely let us know what you think. We want you to be a part of this show. We want you to talk to us and us to talk to you about it. So definitely, let us know on Twitter. Hit us up in the email. Come hang out in the Twitch chat. We'll take it all. But for Amy, for Travis, for Steven, this is Audie, and you have been listening to Those Were the Days.
All right.
Woo!
We did it.
There we go.
Thank you, everybody, for being here, hanging out with us.
We made a shoe.
For sure.